Hello and welcome to the first live race companion for 2018 at Formula World. Can everybody hear me? Great, fantastic. Everyone can hear me. Hello and welcome. This should be an interesting Italian Grand Prix today, I think. Kimi Raikkonen locking out pole position with the fastest lap in history of Formula One. That's a nice record to take with you, and given the current circumstances at Ferrari and the positions potentially available for next year, I wonder if it'll do him any good. All right, so what do we got? We've got about 9 minutes till the race starts. We'll go through just basic tests here. Bear with me, obviously, this is my first live stream, so there may be mistakes, there may be errors, there may be technical glitches, but we'll see how that goes. So I appreciate your patience. Um, Beyond that, let's get involved and talk amongst each other and discuss the race as it happens. I'll be listening to everybody through the comments section, and we'll talk back and forward. Um, Obviously, it'll be this is designed for people to who may not have access to the race to watch to listen to as they go through. Um, People can listen to the race stream here alongside the official broadcast if they wish. As a little disclaimer, this doesn't contain any of the official broadcast within the actual stream itself. This is all live and unofficial from my end. So take that as it may. But yeah, let's have a look there. Is everybody seeing the live stream coming up clearly? Just let me know as it comes up if you can see everything. Yes. Yeah, hopefully. So who thinks that Ferrari may engineer a result between Kimi and Vettel? And if so, how do you think they'll make that happen? Do you think we'll see a repeat at like Monaco, or do you think there'll be a different pit strategy, or will it be a direct team order? I'd be interested to see what you think. So let me know what you think there. Um, that will definitely be interesting to see what happens. Um, Obviously, I don't think the Ferraris are going to try and manufacture something at the first corner. I don't think it's too risky to do so. I think they'll let the first lap play out pretty naturally. You wouldn't want to risk Hamilton sneaking up and taking both Ferraris at the first corner by slowing Kimi down. I don't see any benefit in doing that, but we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? The rumour is Vettel will pit first and Ferrari will keep Kimi out 2 more laps, stalling Lewis. Direct team order for Kimi, let Lewis after 1 lap. So a lot of people are thinking pretty early on we'll see it happen. I think if we see something happen, it's a team order. They'll probably try not to make it blatant. I doubt that we'll see a blatant team order. I think that's just opens himself up to more criticism. If it's a pit stop where they know the undercut's going to work more heavily, or even if the overcut is going to work, they'll manufacture that through strategy, I think, as opposed to an on-track team order. But we'll see. We've got a little over 5 minutes till the start of the race, so we'll go through the starting grid now, and we'll see how that's looking and how that's lining up. The starting grid, obviously, we've got Kimi Raikkonen on pole position, the all-time record, the all-time fastest lap in a Formula One car, with Kimi Raikkonen taking that out at the 11th hour on Sebastian Vettel, who pipped Lewis to the post as well. So we do have Vettel starting alongside him, which should be a close, interesting battle going into turn one, given that Kimi Raikkonen has not made up a place in on the first lap in, I believe it's 30-something races. It's been a long time now, many seasons, a couple seasons at least. The second row, we've got Lewis Hamilton with a very, very close third place. It was extremely exciting qualifying. Valtteri Bottas, a little bit further back in the timing charts in 4th place. On the 3rd row, Max Verstappen in a bit of no man's land, stuck between the top 2 teams and then the rest of the pack. He admitted himself 5th was about as good as he could get, and it seems that was probably the case with what we saw in the results. Romain Grosjean took out the best of the rest award thanks to Daniel Ricciardo starting from the back of the grid, which it was a bit of a gift for Haas, but their car's performing well, so they should be able to hopefully fight well amongst the midfield sides, which is very tight at the moment. The next row, we've got Carlos Sainz in 7th. What I find interesting, actually, is in the top 10, there was 8 different teams that made up the top 10 in the qualifying grid. So we see Ocon for Force India in 8th place. 9th, Pierre Gasly for Toro Rosso had a great performance there. Honda showing a bit of pace on a traditionally power-sensitive circuit, so that's interesting to see. Lance Stroll, quite favourable. He likes Monza. Last year he found himself on the front row after some engine penalties, so he finds himself in the top 10. I think it's the first time this year we've seen Williams in Q3. So that'll be interesting to see how he performs there and how his car holds up in the race. Haas, Kevin Magnussen finds 11th place, and then we've got Sergei Sorokin in 12th. Fernando Alonso manages to get 13th place. He himself admitted he was quite impressed and quite happy that he was able to manage 13th place with his car. Sergio Perez found himself high and dry. He didn't go out again for a second run in Q2 and got eliminated when the times were a little bit tighter and the track evolution allowed the guys to pip him and knock him out in Q2, while his teammate went on to qualify in the top 10. Charles Leclerc, very interesting. 15th place. He probably could have done a little bit better. He's had a great run of form recently, and his car showed a good pace, but he struggled in the latter parts of qualifying, and it didn't allow him to get much better. Brendon Hartley's another one who's had a tough run of it. Not a great qualifying for him. Mind you, when he was knocked out at the start of qualifying, there was less than a tenth separating, I think about 8 places, and he just happened to be on the bottom end of that. So little mistakes cost a lot in the qualifying we saw at Monza over a short track. And the last of the classified drivers before we get into penalties is Stoffel Vandoorne for McLaren, P17. He's lucky he's got 3 places up the grid just due to some penalties. As we see, Marcus Ericsson for Sauber got a 10-place penalty after his crash in FP2, if I recall correctly. That's a change of engine. He's needed a 10-place grid penalty for that. Daniel Ricciardo, P19. He's taken a new engine as well, and he's had to start from the back of the grid for that. And same with Nico Hülkenberg. But then he got an extra 10-place grid penalty on top of that for his causing an accident at Spa on the first lap, which we all remember that. Big crash. Anyway, let's go back to the main stream. It's only a couple of minutes until we get onto the formation lap and back to the race. So I'm really looking forward to what happens here. Monza's it's about 650 meter run to the first corner, the first chicane, which is tough. I mean, you inside, outside line, a lot of things can happen here. Do you brake deep? Do you go in heavy? Do you go in hard? There is that runoff area that you can go in between the styrofoam blocks. And it usually, because you're not running into a wall or a gravel trap, drivers tend to go in a little deeper there because they know they can be safer. So it's quite conducive to a lot of action. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. It will be very interesting. So they're all the drivers are lining up on the grid, getting ready to go out on their formation lap. There's not much happening at the moment for this stage, so let me know what you think is going to happen on this first lap, first corner. Is there going to be incidents? There's a bit of clouds in the sky, a bit of rain in the air potentially. It doesn't look like we'll get anything, but you never know. There is a lot of clouds in the sky. There is potentially a chance for rain, but it doesn't look like there will be at this stage, but weather can change pretty quickly, so we'll see how that holds up. All right. Just a few minutes now, just a couple of minutes until we get onto the formation lap. I'm really interested in seeing this best of the rest battle as well, given that from Verstappen down to Lance Stroll in 10th, so from 5th more or less 6, I should say. Grosjean down to Stroll. It's 5 different teams in 5 different places. It's and that continues to change into the 11th to 14th. So it will be very interesting to see the midfield battle, I think, as well. So what have we got here? And off they go onto the formation lap now. All the drivers going off. No issues there so far. Just being told through the weather radar that there's a potential 60% chance of rain now, so that's boosting that up a little bit. It could well be an interesting race if that happens. One-stop strategy is expected, as you would get on a fast Grand Prix here. It's not that hard on the tyres, so it'll be very interesting to see what we do. We could even see the fastest Grand Prix in history today, actually, as well. I think it's about 1 hour and 14 minutes if they complete all 53 laps, and we'll see Michael Schumacher's record broken for the fastest ever Grand Prix in Formula 1 history. So that could be another thing to watch out for, to see. Nice little novelty on the side. I think most people are starting on the super soft bite, looks like. A few of the guys at the back of the grid are going on the softs, not the supers. Go a little bit longer and stay on those tyres. But I think all the top 10 and most of 10 through 15 are on the super softs from what I can see. We'll see. It's not vodka. This is water. Let me know if the stream quality is any good, if you're able to see everything. Can anybody hear the background audio with the car audio in the background? Let me know if you can hear that. All right, so Kimi Räikkönen is just coming around the end of Parabolica, just going past the pit entrance at the moment. Yeah, just going past the... Coming into the pit straight now. Here we go. All right. All right, we've got the top 6 now lined up in the grid boxes at the moment. And we've got the rest lining up. Ricciardo and Hülkenberg, making up the back of the grid, are just about to pull up into their pit boxes. So we're seeing them come in seconds away from the start of the Grand Prix at this point. So they're all lined up now. They're all on the box. The green flag is waving. So we should expect to see 1 light, 2 lights, 3, 4, 5. 5 lights on, and it's a start. Raikkonen's got a great start. He's coming across the front of Vettel. Vettel's cut him off. Hamilton right behind, tucked in. Vettel's coming around the outside, slipstream around Kimi Räikkönen. Crash at the back. We've got contact with one of the Toro Rossos. Raikkonen locks up on the inside, maintains first place. Vettel holds second, and we've got Hamilton coming in third around the chicane. Verstappen's taken Bottas. Verstappen is up into 4th place. Bottas has got a slow start. The Haas of Romain Grosjean is coming in behind. It's very tight in the midfield. We've got a big scrap coming in the middle. It's incredible. Gasly looks like he was the one who's got the contact. Kimi Räikkönen, it's very tight. We've got Räikkönen holding on at the... Contact! Vettel's taken Hamilton. Vettel's spun off. Vettel is gone to the back of the grid. He's contacted Hamilton. He's spun out. He's right at the back now. Big damage there for Vettel, it looks like. I don't know if there's any damage for Hamilton. This is crazy to see. Raikkonen's got a decent buffer now over Hamilton. Hamilton looks like he's come out unscathed. Verstappen has come out. What's happened? In the second chicane, Vettel's spun out coming on. Hamilton's gone around the outside of Vettel, and Vettel's gone and clipped on the inside. Hamilton and Vettel came together. It's hard to tell whose fault that is on the initial replay, but Vettel has been taken out right to the back of the grid, what it looks like. There's damage coming off one of the Ferraris, I believe. It was Vettel. Safety car is out first lap. So that's a very, very, very eventful first lap. Very eventful first lap. Whilst the safety car's out, it's worth noting that the timing of this stream, due to YouTube's delay, won't line up directly with the official broadcast, so you may need to adjust that, but that's just a fault of the streaming. I can't do much about that. You'll have to pause the broadcast and sync it up with the stream. But Vettel's going to need a new front wing. Vettel's front wing is severely damaged. He's going to have to come in now while the safety car's out and hopefully not lose too much time. This is a very, very interesting turn of events. This could severely harm Vettel's chances in the championship. A lot of people are diving into the pits as well to try and get a free pit stop, but Vettel needs a new wing here. This is Raikkonen's chance to potentially get a race win. This could be very, very interesting. So Verstappen's up 2 places. Let's go through the lineup here. We've got Raikkonen in the lead, Hamilton, then Verstappen, Bottas, Grosjean make up the top 5. So Verstappen's made up the most here. Vettel right to the back, and it was Brendon Hartley, according to the timing sheet, who was taking the spin at the first corner and taking the contact on the straight. So it looks like Brendon Hartley's race is pretty well damaged there. He's out of the race. He's out of the car. You can see him now. So yeah, Brendon Hartley is out of the race. His car is being put onto a trailer as we speak on the back of a truck. So yeah, I don't know if there's any damage to Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. It's hard to see at this point. Yeah, we can't really tell. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any damage to the chassis of Lewis Hamilton. He, according to what's happening here, yeah, no, it doesn't seem to be any damage for there. So let's have a look at the start again. Raikkonen got off to a great start. Vettel off to a nice start as well. Vettel's come and tucked in behind Slipstream, tried to take the outside line, which will open the door a little bit for Hamilton. But Hamilton was able to make a little bit of space, come close to Vettel. There's a bit of contact actually into the first corner between the back of Vettel and the front of Hamilton. He thinks there may have been wing damage there, but it doesn't appear to be. But Hamilton gets a massive, massive toe from Vettel, which is what brings him into contention for the second chicane, where Hamilton goes around the outside and Vettel makes contact. It's tough to say. Hamilton squeezed the corner, but Vettel tried to open it up a little bit, coming on the exit of the chicane there, of the first part of the chicane. It's very, very tough. If there's a lot of damage on that Ferrari, it's going to compromise him. I don't know if it's just front wing that he's had the damage for. Yeah, Vettel's lucky to get out of that without much more damage. He didn't get any more contact from any other cars that could have been bad. Very, very interesting. It's tough. I think it's just a racing incident by the look of it. Hamilton squeezed Vettel to the inside of that corner, but then Vettel looked like he may have struggled to turn in a bit much given the limited amount of space as he's coming into the second part of the chicane. I think you're going to see that as just a racing incident. I don't see anyone being put fully to blame for that. It's very hard. Let's see what Brendon Hartley, who he made contact with. Okay, Stoffel Vandoorne's come across the front of Brendon Hartley and pretty much just damaged his front wing and then shredded his tyre. There was nothing Brendon Hartley could have done about that. He was completely a passenger at that point. So Stoffel Vandoorne may be investigated for that incident. It may just be deemed a off the start incident, but nothing Hartley could have done about that. Vandoorne's lucky not to come with a puncture. So we've got Vettel down in 18th place, Ericsson down in last place. Ricciardo's made up a couple of places due to the retirement and a couple of issue there. Sirotkin and Alonso up into the top 10. That's a good start for those two there. Stroll up a couple of places, off to another great start. He's very good at that. Safety car is ending at this lap. Racing looks like it's going to go live. Raikkonen starting. Okay, the safety car line coming into Parabolica. Hamilton is very, very, very tight behind Kimi Räikkönen on this restart. He's going to get a fantastic slipstream. Hamilton is going to take Kimi. He's going to make a move. Räikkönen is holding inside. Hamilton coming around the outside with a slipstream. Lewis Hamilton has taken it cleanly around the outside. He's got the inside line now coming into the first chicane. Hamilton has taken the lead over Kimi Räikkönen. And it looks like, Sainz has gone off the chicane after Grosjean looks like he took the place, so he may have to give that back. But Räikkönen now down into second place. Hamilton took a massive slipstream. Sainz gave the place back to Grosjean. Kimi Räikkönen's got a slipstream on the outside. He's going to the chicane. He's taken Hamilton on this chicane. Second chicane. Kimi takes it back on a slipstream. Hamilton's looking to come back. Switchback, nothing there. Hamilton's coming around the outside. There we go. Räikkönen holds it through there. Very tight. Räikkönen got the slipstream straight back and taken Hamilton in. Taking him straight back. So Räikkönen's got a bit of a gap again there. Fantastic racing here. And Hamilton's gone around the outside after the slipstream and took it very, very cleanly on the start-finish straight. But Räikkönen coming back in to the second chicane, returned the favour, come back through, cleanly took it around the outside. Very, very good move. Let's see if he's going to maintain that now. He's got a decent gap, but it looks like coming around Parabolica. Hamilton is close again. Not quite as close as he was last time. So Räikkönen might be safe, but he's going to get a very good tow again. Hamilton is definitely going to catch up a little bit here. It's going to be tight. It does look like Räikkönen will be safe from the attack on this into the first corner here. Still no DRS at this stage yet. Yeah, Räikkönen's safe now into the first chicane here. Vettel has made up a couple of places there now. He's back up there. It looks like the top four are starting to pull a gap between Grosjean, Sainz, and Ocon. The two Williams are in 8th and 9th, up into the points, both of them together. That's a good thing for the Williams team. Räikkönen, he's got 7/10 gap between himself and Hamilton. And there we go. We see Ricciardo making up a bit of places there on Stoffel Van Dorn. Sebastian Vettel is going around Van Dorn as well. He's looking like he's going to make a move. Vettel looking to go around Ricciardo of the Lesmo corners there. Very, very tight. Very tight. This is an incredible start to the race. It's really hard to see what's happening. Hamilton is still within DRS range, albeit DRS is not enabled at the moment, so the slipstream is very, very strong down the straights here. It's a long power circuit. Sebastian Vettel is on the charge. He's right on the tail of Daniel Ricciardo, already up to 16th place from going down to last. Sebastian Vettel looking to make a charge. Räikkönen got the lead. He's just out of DRS range at the moment. Kimi Räikkönen's just hit the fastest lap. He's trying to pull a bit of a gap. He knows he has to. Sergio Perez goes up the inside, makes a bit of contact, fair bit of contact actually. There's quite a bit of damage between the Haas of Kevin Magnussen and we've got Haas of Kevin Magnussen and Sergio Perez. Yeah, there's a fair bit of contact there. The floor of the Haas is damaged quite a bit. Lucky for Sergio Perez not to get any more damage there. So Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, the stewards, have decided it's just a racing incident, no further action involved required, which is about fair. I think that's a good call. It was a bit of a 50-50 incident. So Ricciardo has made up on Hülkenberg. Now Vettel is going for Hülkenberg now at this stage. It looks like he'll get that pretty easily, but he's got to make up these places quickly. Otherwise, we're going to see the field spread out and the gap to the leaders become too much to get back into the top slots. But Hamilton is back within Kimi Räikkönen's DRS range, and DRS is enabled now, so DRS will play a massive part down this straight here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Hamilton making a move coming into the start-finish straight after the Parabolica on Hamilton now. Although he's just pulled a bit of a gap. It's going to be touch and go. Yeah, he's got the DRS for the straight here. Hamilton is making up time, making up space there, making up distance, but he's not going to make up enough to dive down the inside, make a move there. Hamilton is putting the pressure on though. He's down, cut the gap from about a second down to 7/10, so it's going to be tight. Sergio Perez making a move up into the points, and not quite. He couldn't get around Perez. He couldn't get around, Fernando Alonso. So Perez is still down in 11th place. The two Williams still holding strong in 8th and 9th. So now we've got Vettel up past Hulkenberg. It's Vettel and Ricciardo still 14th, 15th. Ricciardo, Vettel, sorry, 14th, 15th. Hartley is still the only retirement from this race. Crazy start to this race. Yeah, Vettel needs to make up places fast if he wants any chance at getting some points here. And it looks like he's done between that Hamilton and Vettel clash, Vettel's really come out second best. Severely bad. Yeah, very bad for him there. It's going to cost him a lot of points if he finishes where they start. So Sebastian Vettel closing the gap on Ricciardo now. He's within DRS range there. That would be interesting to see if he makes the move. Ricciardo's run wide. So we'll see what's happening here. Let me catch a breath here. It's been a hectic start. Okay, I've got a couple of questions here. What is my stance on Racing Point Force India? Well, I'm glad Force India as a team at all still exist. There's 3 wide into the first corner here. We know we've got, Charles Leclerc diving down. The inside of Gasly. He takes it. Yep, defenders well there. I'm glad Force India still exists in some way or another. Look, Vijay Mallya was a racing fan, and he just didn't have the cash to throw around to really allow that team to thrive. So I'm interested to see what they can do with a bit of extra cash up their sleeve now that they've got a few billionaires backing them. So that'll be hopefully an exciting thing to watch. What happened to Vettel? Vettel and Hamilton crashed into the second chicane on the opening lap. They touched. Vettel came out much worse off. The stewards deemed it a racing incident. I think it was a bit of a muchness. Vettel was in the inside. Hamilton slipstream, took the outside, squeezed him a little bit, but Vettel probably got a touch of oversteer and ran a bit deep into the corner himself. But I think both drivers will probably claim that as a bit of a racing incident. No one can really be put at fault for that. So what have we got here? Vettel down the inside of Ricciardo into Parabolica. He had a look. He's not through. He's still very close. He's gonna have a very strong slipstream. Vettel is going down Ricciardo. He takes the outside. He slipstreams past on the start finish straight. Vettel is taken up. He's taken Ricciardo. He's up to 14th place. Ricciardo looks for a dive on the back on the inside, but he doesn't get it. So Vettel is right sandwiched between the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo. And Pierre Gasly is right up Charles Leclerc. It's very tight. There's 4 running within nearly 2 seconds of each other there. It's very close. Lock up there. Sebastian Vettel's taking a run at the outside of Charles Leclerc on one of the first Lesmo. Vettel is on the move. He's up to 13th now. He's on the charge, and he's got Gasly in front of him now. So that's going to be very tight. It's non-stop action at the moment. This 9 laps in. Ricciardo's looking to go around the outside of the Ascari chicane on Leclerc, but I don't think he's going to have much luck of it there. He didn't. Less than a second still between Raikkonen and Hamilton. It's very tight. But Bottas is still stuck behind Max Verstappen's Red Bull. Not much he can do about it at the moment, but there's a big gap opening up of 4.5 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton. So Bottas is going to want to make a move on Verstappen sooner rather than later if he wants this gap to close up a little bit and get in contention with the top guys, potentially come into play for the pit stop windows. But we'll see how that holds up and that goes in. So who have we got here? We've got Fernando Alonso pitting. He's looked like he's dropped a lot of places. He must have damage. It looks like Fernando Alonso is coming in to retire. It doesn't look good. Yeah, I think he's coming in to retire. Looks like he's got an engine issue from the looks of it here. They're bringing him in to retire him. They're not going to do anything at this stage by the looks of it. They're having a quick look, but they're not going to do much by the looks of it there. Anyway, at the front, Raikkonen has opened the gap up to pull himself just out of DRS range as they come into the start-finish straight again. Hamilton is keeping right on Raikkonen, forcing him to keep the pressure on, keep Raikkonen pushing the laps in. Yeah, Hamilton's gained a bit of space there, a bit of time. It's closer than it was in the last couple of laps there. So Hamilton may be able to make a run at him into the next couple of corners. If not, maybe he can keep this gap up until the next straight. But it's a bit, it's very close at the front. So we've got Hulkenberg making up some places as well, starting at the back of the grid. He's looking like he's going to make a run on Leclerc now down the start straight. Nico Hulkenberg takes the outside. Pretty conventional overtake there. Oh! Does that look like there's contact between Gasly and Ricciardo? They do get a bit of contact there. I don't think there's any damage, but there's a bit of contact between Gasly and Red Bull from what I've seen. Ricciardo is very, very close. Ricciardo is looking like he's going to go around the inside-outside coming into the second chicanes. Not able to make a move of it, but he's very close. Within 2-3 tenths of him here. We're having a look at the replay here to see if there was actually contact. Yeah, definitely contact. The rear right of Gasly and the front left of Ricciardo, there is a bit of contact there. Some maybe with the side pod on the floor of the Toro Rosso as well. A bit of carbon fibre has come off. Yeah, it's definitely contact there. I don't know if they'll do anything about it. It was touch and go. There was a bit of a racing incident almost in of itself, but lucky no damage is done there. What have we got? So Vettel's getting stuck in the midfield at the moment. They're therefore lapping significantly slower than the guys at the front. But Verstappen is falling away from the front guys at the moment, which is only hurting Bottas. He's staying within the DRS window of Verstappen, but Lewis Hamilton, the gap between himself and Verstappen is approaching 5 seconds now. So it's not looking good for Bottas at the moment. He's not been able to come into play much, potentially with the pit stop window. But we'll see what happens there. Excuse me. Ricciardo is now past Gasly, if I'm not mistaken. He's gone down the inside now on the next lap. Yeah, he made that very easily. It's hard to tell if it was team orders from within the Red Bull camp or whether or not he relinquished the fact that he was going to get overtaken eventually. So at the front, we're looking at Kimi Raikkonen, who's still got the lead, and it's still about a second between him and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton not able to get any closer, though. It's hard to tell whether Hamilton is just holding off a little bit and not looking to risk anything and just keep the pressure on and wait for the mistake, potentially see if Kimi burns his tyres a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker, maybe looking for the undercut later. It's hard to say, but it looks like Hamilton is almost close enough to be making moves, but he's not quite attempting it. So it's hard to see. Hard to say if there is actually anything. If he's actually holding back a little bit there, it's not unlike Hamilton to do that. We'll see how that unfolds. Can people just comment in the box and let me know if you can hear the race audio, the cars in the background of this audio here? I'm running something that's completely unofficial. It's not actually the live race audio. It's a pre-recorded audio I set up earlier, but it's just to add to the environment of it. So can people... yeah, people let me know if they can hear that. Yeah, people cannot give spoilers away in the chat. Because of the delay, if you are watching it live through the direct broadcast, you'll miss that, and you'll get spoilers. So, all right. So there we go. Let me know if the race audio is there now. Hopefully you can hear something. If it's not, I'll adjust the audio as well. What have we got here? Yeah, so no spoilers, guys. People will be watching this without the race there. Some people will be syncing it up so that they can watch it alongside the race. So leave the spoilers out. let me know again about that race audio. Hopefully that's coming through now. If not, I will make an adjustment. Alright, so Esteban Ocon around Sainz, very clinical. DRS was strong enough to get him around pretty safely. So Esteban Ocon now up into 6th place. Yeah, very close. There we go. What happened to Vettel? For people who missed it, Vettel's up to 11th now. He was down into essentially last place after he made contact with Hamilton into the second chicane. Racing incident, FIA deemed no one needs to be penalised for that. Sebastian Vettel just taken up into the points now, speaking of that. 10th place, so he's back up into the points. There we go. So we can hear the race audio. It's not clashing with my voice. It's not too difficult there to hear me over the top of it. Let me know. I think it just adds a little bit to it, having some the car audio in the background as well. So let me know what you think about that. Almost out of water already. Oh, I've been talking too much. It's been an exciting 15 laps. For those on super softs, we won't be too far away from the from a pit window opening up soon, actually, especially looking for that undercut, which Hamilton will probably look for, given that he's able to stay so close with Raikkonen. Yeah, no. There we go. So what have we got? 6 seconds now between Hamilton and Verstappen. Quite a big gap there, actually. Yeah, it's definitely... Alright, we're back on. So Vettel now is right up the tail of Stroll. Coming down the start-finish straight, he should be able to make a move onto Stroll here. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he doesn't make a move into the first chicane. Yeah, he's definitely got a great slipstream. The DRS as well. He's going to make a move down the inside. And Vettel, there he goes up to P9 down the inside of Lance Stroll. Not much Stroll could do about that. But now we've got Vettel right up the tail of Perez now, and Perez has got off to a great start. He's starting down in P14. He's up to 8th now, so he's done a lot of good work in these opening few laps of the race as well. So well done for Sergio Perez, capitalising on some of the carnage that happened, as well as some neat overtakes himself, to be honest. So that's been good. Yes, okay. Okay, so what do we got? Right down to, just let me double check that there. Down to Sergio Perez is 26 seconds behind the lead of Kimi Raikkonen. Takes about 24 seconds for a pit stop at Monza, according to what they calculated. So that means the pit window is starting to open up. If Raikkonen was to pit, he'd come out ahead of Vettel right now. So he's basically lost an entire pit stop for doing so. Alright, just another double check on those audio levels to make sure the audio levels match up good. A couple of people there to let me know. Alright, so Sebastian Vettel is diving down the inside of Sergio Perez now. Perez pretty much just standing by and watching, although, Perez has come around back. Vettel went too deep, wasn't able to make the move stick around Perez, so Perez has maintained that position. Vettel now lost a little bit of time doing that. Shouldn't cost him too much. He should be able to get that back soon, but yeah, that's not what he wants when he's trying to make up as much time as possible. He's already a pit stop behind the front guys, so he can't afford that. Yeah, Vettel dived in way too deep, couldn't outbraked himself really, and Perez was able to switch back and get that position. So Lewis Hamilton still within that second window of Kimi Räikkönen. Not really sure what's going to happen there. Although Hamilton may... yeah, I think Hamilton is really just playing the game at this point. Just sitting back, staying close enough to get the pressure on so that if Räikkönen does make a mistake, that he is able to capitalise. But I don't think Räikkönen is overly pushing too hard either, as long as he's keeping him, you know, just out of the window to take a dive down the inside of one of the chicanes, then I think both of the two at the front are going to be pretty happy. Alright, so here we go. Vettel's going again inside Sergio Perez. This time he doesn't go too deep, and he's able to make that move stick. And he's now up into 8th position. So there we go. Sebastian Vettel on the charge. He's still about a pit stop behind the front guys though, and he's still losing time. So he really needs to get a move on there, and there's not much you can do about it. Yeah, it's a bit tight. Okay, so there we go. For one stop, it's going to be tough. Vettel. What's Vettel on? Does anybody see what tyre Vettel's on? I think he's on the harder of the compounds, but I think he's only on the soft. I don't know if he's going to be able to go to the end on his tyres. Anyway, the real winner, one of the real winners of this is Romain Grosjean, who's stayed up in 5 and been able to hold that position quite comfortably, actually. He's got a gap between himself and Sainz of about 3 or so seconds. Obviously, between him and Bottas, it's going to be not much of a race there. Oh! Down the start chicane. Bottas goes for a dive down the inside. Bottas locks up. So does Verstappen. Verstappen goes over the speed bump, so he cuts the corner of the inside of the chicane. But Bottas looks like he wasn't going to be able to make that move stick anyway. But they both outbrake themselves, so I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to do with that. I'd like to see a replay. I can't really see what's happened there. I think it was a bit of a... Yeah, I think he did surprise him potentially. Dived down the inside, and Verstappen may not have been expecting it. Tried to defend late and got himself locked up. The gap's back to what it was again. Yeah, Bottas has definitely come in deep. Verstappen may have just not been expecting it. Both locked up. Verstappen's had to go off. He's cut the corner completely. But, yeah... I don't think they're going to want him to get that back because Bottas wasn't past him when he went off the track, so there was no gaining an advantage by going off the track there. I don't think they're going to do anything with that. We'll see what they will do with that. So what have we got? Kimi's still got that 1 second gap between himself and Hamilton. It's very, very tight, but it doesn't look like Hamilton's looking to make a move. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a move there. He didn't make a move. Bottas is still up close on Max. Is he going to go down the inside again? No, he thinks better of it this time. Yeah, Max is holding him up, and it's hurting Bottas's race quite a lot now because there's a big gap between himself and his teammate Hamilton. So that's not good for him, but there's not much we can do about that. Now we've got Sebastian Vettel dive bombing down the inside of Carlos Sainz. Down, what is that, the first chicane? Yes. Comfortably took that move as well. So Vettel's up into 7th, but he's still about a pit stop behind the leaders. We may see a chance, I don't know, maybe as good as P5 at this stage, unless there's some carnage up ahead. I don't really see him being able to make up any more into the top 4, but we'll see how their race plays out and how the pit stops play out. But Hamilton's staying right on Raikkonen's tail here. Yeah, very, very close. Ricciardo's had a tough time of it though. He's oh, we've got the Mercedes guys out in the pit stop. It's the Ferrari guys as well. So the soft tyres are out, so it looks like Raikkonen will be coming in because Kimi Räikkönen will be... Yep, Kimi Räikkönen's in. So Kimi Räikkönen's come in. Mercedes have Mercedes have bluffed them by the looks of it. Bluffed them into coming in for the stop. They definitely did. So Mercedes came out first, Ferrari followed, but then Mercedes didn't come in. So the team orders must have been there to do the opposite of what Raikkonen does, so that we can see so it was an opposite strategy there. Mercedes basically told Hamilton to do the opposite of Raikkonen. It was definitely what they wanted. So Hamilton's now got clear track. He should be able to pull a gap now, but Raikkonen on the fresher tyres, if he can get a good outlap, he's got some space too to drive into. Yeah, this will be interesting. This will be very interesting to see if the undercut works or whether Hamilton's going to be able to employ the overcut being stuck behind Raikkonen. So it was a dummy from Mercedes, but maybe Ferrari were planning to come in anyway, and Hamilton was just told to do the opposite. We'll see. Okay, now here we go. Hamilton looks like he's going to be coming in now, unless they go for Bottas and try and get him out from behind Verstappen. We'll see what's coming in. Mercedes have come out again now. Here we go. Lewis Hamilton hasn't gone in, so neither have Bottas. Okay, so neither of Mercedes have gone in. Yeah, Mercedes looked like they were coming, looking for the pit, but Hamilton may have said, I want to stay out again and maybe pull a bit of a lap. So Raikkonen's putting down some time. He's catching Bottas now quite a bit. So this will be very, very interesting to see what happens when Hamilton makes his pit stop. They're both lapping very, very quickly. There's about 22.5 seconds between himself and Raikkonen, which isn't enough now to come ahead. Raikkonen has come out fastest in the last two sectors. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I think Raikkonen at this rate will come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's definitely going to be close. Okay, so now, given where we are at this stage, and Raikkonen looks like he's lapping faster than Hamilton and not allowing Hamilton to get that overcut, will they keep Hamilton out a bit longer now, or they're just going to be losing more time? They can't do that. Hamilton has put in faster lap now, though, to respond to Raikkonen's outlaps on the fresher tyres. Yeah, he's going to need to pull out an extra 1.5 seconds to be safe between himself and Kimi. And I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think we're going to see Hamilton come out behind Raikkonen. And Bottas looks to dive down the inside of Verstappen. He's very close behind him on the first chicane, but nothing there. Still very tight, very close. Lewis Hamilton asked to push again by his team over team radio. Will he be able to make another second at least a second, to get that gap up to a safe window? And that's if there is a good pit stop, good clean pit stop. I don't see it. I honestly think we'll see Kimi Raikkonen come out of the lead of the race. Raikkonen had the pace in him, and Raikkonen's fresh tyres have allowed to do it. Raikkonen has got it. I think we'll see when they come in, but they can't afford to keep Hamilton out there much longer if he's not able to keep this pace up, because he's going to be losing time. And the fresher tyres, Hamilton will be able to push again. They seem to be wanting to keep him out. It's not going to work in Mercedes' favour, I don't think. We got 10. No, I don't think so. It's about 22 seconds between the two of them at the moment. Raikkonen's still faster. Look at the data there. He's still 22 seconds. Yeah, no, Raikkonen's lapping faster. He's making the gap between himself and Hamilton smaller. It's not happening. They've made a mistake there, or at least Raikkonen's able to push faster than we expect. And we're seeing some rain. Drivers reporting rain, a little bit of rain coming up on the radar. Some small patches of rain coming in. This will be very interesting if it starts coming down. At the moment, it's very, very light. Kimi's just set a fast lap of the race. That's very good for Kimi. Yeah, if the rain comes down heavy, then staying out may have paid off for Mercedes, but it doesn't look like it will be. We'll see. Sebastian Vettel's coming the inside of Ocon now. Sebastian Vettel is up to P6. P5, sorry, I stand corrected. P5. Vettel is just behind the leaders now at this point. Yeah, very good there. So what have we got? Have we got Bottas? Bottas isn't pitted yet. He's still stuck behind Verstappen. I really don't think we're going to see Bottas used against Raikkonen. Daniel Ricciardo's got smoke coming up the rear of his car. He's got a blown engine. The new Spec C engine from Renault. the question mark about reliability in that car, that engine, has raised its head now, and Ricciardo is now down and out. Where is he? He's on the inside of... I can't see where he's on the inside of. Is he on the inside of the Lesmos? I don't think he's in a dangerous place, but we've got double wave yellows in Sector 2. I think he's on the inside of the Lesmos. If he is, he should be safe there. We may not need a safety car. At worst, maybe a virtual safety, but if there is a virtual safety car, we could see a pit stop here from Hamilton, and he might be able to make that 2.5 up, given the speed you can take through the pit lane. This could hurt Kimi Raikkonen's chances if they bring out a virtual safety car. We'll see where he is. It looks like his engine just blew completely after he's come in. Yeah, Ricciardo's had to stop. He's pulled across. Second chicane. Yeah, so it's through the Lesmos he's pulled off. He should be safe there. I don't think we're gonna see a VSC. I think it's pretty easy area to pull the car out. He's not going to interfere with the race. But the safety car is on standby. We can see the safety car looking ready to pounce, ready to come out. I'm not sure if we'll actually be able to see a place where they can remove that car. The car, there's not really an area we can remove this car from easily by the looks of it here. So we may actually see a safety car deployed. Let's have a look and see if they can actually get this car out. If there's a safety car or a virtual safety car, Hamilton staying out, looks like he's going to run away with it at this point. So this could really, really hurt Raikkonen, who looked like he had that gap completely covered. Yeah, I think this is going to be very questionable. I think they're trying to hold off for as much as they can, because Ricciardo's car isn't in a dangerous spot at the moment. So he's not in an area that's going to be dangerous to drivers or the marshals, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to remove that car easily without one. Okay, no, we've got track clear. They have removed the car. I stand corrected. Yeah, no, it looks like the car is safely removed from the track. We will not be seeing a safety car or a virtual safety car. The race is back on. What is the gap now? The gap's 19.5 seconds. No, this is Raikkonen's race to... Valtteri Bottas, according to the telemetry, is... What's happened there? We've got a mistake. Okay, so here we go. We've got Verstappen, who's come in for a pit stop at this point now, so that's where Bottas has jumped him. Verstappen, will he come out? Yeah, Verstappen will come out safely ahead of Vettel, I believe. And yes, he will. Okay, so there we go. Lewis Hamilton staying out, and that's only hurting him at this point, unless Raikkonen is catching pretty quickly on Bottas, and maybe they'll use Bottas to hold him up. I didn't think that was going to happen, given that there was about a 10-second gap between the two, but potentially now that may come into play, open up the pit window enough for him. But if he's too slow and Bottas is on all the tyres, you'd suspect that Ferrari should be able to slipstream him pretty comfortably. So I'll be interested to see, in a few laps at this rate, Raikkonen will be on the tail of Bottas, and he should be able to get past him pretty quickly. We'll see what happens there. It'll be very interesting. Alright, let's go through the order. We've got Hamilton and Bottas out the front, who neither have pitted. Raikkonen, who has pitted, who should come out ahead when they do pit. Vettel has pitted, but he pitted very early and will most likely have to pit again. It's going to be tough to see if he can go the whole way on those tyres. They didn't look in great shape. Ocon still has not pitted in 5th place. Verstappen has. And then we've got Perez, Sainz, Stroll, Sirotkin have not pitted, and Grosjean has. And Grosjean should jump most of those to get back up ahead of Ocon once all the pit window has been done. We'll see what happens though. Hulkenberg has struggled to make up places, but Hulkenberg has pitted already. May need to pit again. He pitted early. It was one of the early pit stops. It'd be interesting to see if he can run to the end on those softs. I doubt it. We'll see what happens. But Hamilton's tyres don't look fantastic. Mind you, that's the right front is not a severely, not a major issue there. Vettel's tyres, we're seeing there. It looks like some of the surface of his tyres. Bit of damage there on the rear left. But yeah, Hamilton's got a bit of damage on the front right, but that's not the tyre that takes the most load around this circuit, so it shouldn't be a major issue if he does stay out a little bit longer. Mercedes have come out. Lewis Hamilton locks up coming into the pit stop, so Lewis Hamilton is coming in now. What have we got? Hamilton is coming out. Hamilton's going to come out safely behind Raikkonen, ahead of Vettel. Good pit stop for Hamilton, but it would appear that Bottas and Raikkonen will come out safely ahead. And Hamilton, big gap between Raikkonen and Hamilton for quite a few seconds. That'll be 3-4 seconds at least. Raikkonen's put the foot down as well and set another fastest lap. Hamilton is going to be coming out on the fresh tyres too, and he'll be able to put the foot down and hopefully be able to for him be able to catch that gap up. A lot going on at the moment. Sorry. It does appear that Bottas will be used as a bit of a wall between himself and the fresh air to slow Raikkonen up, so that Hamilton can maybe make some of that time up, especially given Hamilton's on the fresher tyres. I think it's about 7 or 8 laps newer. But I don't think Bottas is going to be able to hold up Raikkonen all that much. We'll see. So what have we got here? Max Verstappen has jumped Ocon now on the fresher tyres after his pit stop, but Ocon still has not pitted. So that's just not really the race that they're fighting against for position at this point. So this is Kimi Raikkonen's race to lose at this point, you would think, unless something drastic happens. Kimi Raikkonen hasn't won since 2013, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. That was for Lotus. Was it Australia 2013? I may be wrong there. It might be... yeah, but that rings a bell. So that's a long time now. And unless they make a mistake, or Bottas does a very, very good job at holding up Raikkonen, I think it's his to win. Sebastian Vettel is coming in for a pit. His tyres did not last. Vettel has come in. He's put the super softs on. He's probably going to want to run to the end on those super softs and should be able to quite comfortably. And he'll have the fresher, softer set of tyres to run to the end of the race on. And the races in front of him will be on the harder tyres. So that will be in Vettel's favour for making up some positions. But I don't think we'll see Vettel making up any more positions than that. I'm very excited to see what happens here with Kimi Raikkonen. This has been potentially a long, long time coming for Raikkonen to get a race win, and we've got 23 laps to go. It's his at the moment as the race stands. So Raikkonen within DRS range of Valtteri Bottas, 7/10 behind him. Hamilton 4 seconds behind Raikkonen. I don't think Bottas is going to be able to do much. We'll see Raikkonen coming around the Parabolica very closely behind Bottas. DRS open, catching very greatly, but I don't think, no, Raikkonen's going to be too far to make a dive down that first chicane. Not going to happen there, but he's very close. Very, very close. Yeah, very, very close. Raikkonen's still within that 7/10 range of Bottas. Hamilton, a second and a half lap faster than Raikkonen. So Hamilton is putting his foot down, but Raikkonen is being held up by Bottas here. It is allowing Hamilton to make up some time, but I think they'll keep Bottas out until Raikkonen can get past him. There's no other way about it. There's no reason to bring Bottas in, because Bottas is not in contention for this race. Mind you, Verstappen will potentially be in for third place on the podium, but Raikkonen stuck behind Bottas. This could bring Hamilton right back into the race. And he's losing over a second nearly in this half a lap, the gap between himself and Hamilton. So Hamilton is only now 2.5 seconds behind Kimi Räikkönen. Last lap it was 4 seconds down. The time before that it was more. This is not good for Kimi Räikkönen. He's not able to get a move stuck on Valtteri Bottas down this straight. Still not coming enough, not close enough. Bottas still able to keep Räikkönen behind. Hamilton closing in each and every sector. We're seeing Hamilton close that gap. Valtteri Bottas is doing a fantastic job at holding Räikkönen up. Hamilton's going to be right in this fight within a couple of laps on 8-lap fresher tyres than Kimi Räikkönen. Race is not over yet. Race is not over yet. Räikkönen loses the back end a little bit coming around. It's all good now. Only a minor slip at the back end. Sebastian Vettel coming back over Stroll. Pretty clinical overtaking move there. Nothing major. Alright, so Sebastian Vettel really needs to get up the grid. Räikkönen very, very close. It looks like he's as close as he's been to Bottas at this moment. But he's not in a position to overtake yet. But he's coming into the Parabolica. If Räikkönen can keep this gap here, Räikkönen is closer than he's been so far. Yeah, he's definitely close enough now. This DRS, Räikkönen looks like he's going to be able to make a move here. Yeah, for sure, Räikkönen's going to have to make a move. He's gaining. Bottas stays wide, takes the inside. Räikkönen doesn't go for the move. Räikkönen doesn't make it happen. Bottas keeps him there, but he's right up the tail now. Very close. Hamilton only a second and a half now. Less than a second and a half behind Lewis Hamilton. Ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Are we going to see Räikkönen make a move on Bottas? He's not. The second chicane, he can't make a move. But all of this is allowing Hamilton to get within a second of Kimi Räikkönen. Räikkönen is only half a second off Bottas, but Hamilton is now within Räikkönen's DRS range. Valtteri Bottas is doing his job perfectly for Lewis Hamilton. And now the gap between Hamilton and Räikkönen is smaller than the gap between Bottas and Räikkönen. This is very interesting. Lewis will probably be able to make a run down to the first chicane on Kimi Räikkönen now, if he's able to keep this gap through the Parabolica. But Räikkönen very, very close behind Bottas. This race is not over. It's not over. Let's see what happens now. There's only half a second between Räikkönen and Hamilton, and 0.6 between Räikkönen and Bottas. Hamilton gaining more on Räikkönen than Bottas. Then Räikkönen is gaining on Bottas. Neither able to make a move. No one's making a move. Oh, Hamilton locks up big time. He's front left. Not a major lockup, actually. It wasn't as bad as I looked. Whew. This is tight. Bottas, Räikkönen, and Hamilton. About a second and a half separating all three of those drivers at the moment. And neither Hamilton being able to make a move on Räikkönen or Räikkönen on Bottas. We are seeing a very, very, very tight race here at the front. And Bottas is doing his job perfectly. Hamilton now on the fresher tyres may be able to make a run on Räikkönen towards the end of the race, even if he doesn't get in before Bottas pits. This will be very interesting. It's hard to see what's going to happen at this point, but I think Bottas is serving as a fantastic rear gunner for Lewis at the moment. This could, either way you look at it, with Vettel sitting lower in the points, Hamilton is going to extend his lead, which is not good for Vettel, not good for the championship fight in general. But yeah, let's have a look now. We're coming to the Parabolica again. The gaps are about the same. Yeah, Räikkönen is still a little closer than Hamilton is to Räikkönen, but let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, here we go. Kimi Räikkönen not able to catch. We've got a back marker blocking Bottas, Räikkönen, and Hamilton. This could be interesting to see as well. If there's a bad positioning of this back marker, this blue flag could really hurt one of these drivers here. Hopefully they don't get involved too much. It doesn't look like they will. The McLaren of Van Dorn gets out of the way. It doesn't affect the race at all. Yeah, that was well done from Stoffel Van Dorn there. Stayed right out of the race. Yeah, so Bottas is definitely running a race for his teammate at the moment now. He's not looking at his own race because he's more than likely going to lose that position. No, he will. He'll definitely lose the position of Verstappen, but should be able to catch it at the end on fresher tyres. We'll see how that goes. This is tight. Raikkonen's got to either hold on and not hurt his tyres too much, so when Bottas does eventually pit, he's able to, still have freshness in his tyres to pull away while he defends from Hamilton, or he's got to risk it and go for a move, get ahead of Bottas, and hopefully it's going to be tough either way. Race is on. Whew, less than, what do we got? 18 laps left. Very close, very close. Long way to go yet for everyone involved in this race. Still, Bottas, Raikkonen and Hamilton within a second and a half of each other. No change yet. So we've still got the two Williams running in the points. It's a great day out for them. They've had I don't think they've had a double points finish all year. Sorokin, only his second race that he's actually ever run in the points in his F1 career, so I doubt that that's happened. So yeah, Stroll and Sorokin running in the points with Grosjean very, very close behind Sorokin, however. So we'll see what happens there. Grosjean has pitted, I believe. He has, but has Sorokin. Sorokin has not pitted, so they'll probably lose out there. Kimi Raikkonen's rear right looks like there's a bit of damage to it. It's hard to see what kind of damage it is. It doesn't look like conventional blistering. A little bit of blistering maybe, actually. Mercedes. Bottas is in. Bottas is in now. Bottas is in. Raikkonen has got clean air with Hamilton a second behind him, just out of the DRS zone, I believe. But Raikkonen now has clean air. Can he pull a gap, or will his tyres not hold up to the end? There is still a long way to go, and Hamilton has 8 laps fresher tyres. There is no possible way Raikkonen can have another pit stop and be in this race, so he will have to go to the end if he wants to win, but he's going to have to be very kind on his tyres, and he's going to have to keep Hamilton behind whilst doing so. He was able to do it for the first part of the race. Can he do it right to the end? Let's wait and see. Game on. Yes. Both Raikkonen and Hamilton look to have a bit of tyre damage. Raikkonen's rear right has definitely got a fair bit of damage, and he's going to be feeling that in his car. Going to take a fair bit of managing. Lewis Hamilton locked up his front left, I believe, coming to the first chicane when he was getting close to Raikkonen. And there's a lot of load going through that left-hand side of the car for both of those guys, so it's going to be a bit of management from both of them to keep their tyres fresh till the end. Hamilton does have the advantage of fresher tyres, but we'll see what happens because the game is not over yet. Anything can happen, but Kimi Raikkonen is leading. Kimi Raikkonen is pulling a gap very slightly. What have we got? The gap is still within DRS. So Kimi Raikkonen is not able to get out of that DRS rage. Wow, this is tight. Very tight. Max Verstappen should have a bit of time before he sees Bottas on his tail, but Bottas most certainly get right up on Verstappen, given he's got fresher tyres and has a faster car. So this will be interesting to see what happens for the final place on the podium. But Lewis Hamilton definitely has some damage to that front left. But Raikkonen's rear left is definitely in worse condition. Still under a second between Raikkonen and Hamilton. Heading into Parabolica, coming onto the front straight. Can Hamilton pull that gap down and make enough of a move down the inside, or will Raikkonen be able to hold out? We don't know at this stage. It's very close. Hamilton is gaining. He's gaining. Not enough to make a move. Raikkonen still able to maintain the lead, but the gap is staying there. Vettel up to 6th place now. He's made a move on Perez. He should be able to catch Ocon in the next few laps. There's only under 3 seconds between him. So Vettel's probably going to have to settle. Probably have to settle for 5th place, but he's not that far off Valtteri Bottas, actually. I think there's maybe 12, 13 seconds between them there. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's 12 seconds, so hard to say whether that'll be made up, but not out of the question that Vettel could see himself on the back of Bottas, but I think he's going to have to settle for 5th place as a bit of a recovery run. That's going to hurt him a lot in the championship fight, especially if Hamilton does manage to get past Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen doing a great job at the moment, keeping that gap steady like he did at the start of the race. Hamilton still not able to get close enough to make a move. He hasn't been able to get close enough all race. He's been about that 7, 8, 9 tenths behind Raikkonen at best through the entire race. Whether he's doing that deliberately and just biding his time, he almost certainly was initially, looking to get some clean air in front of Kimi when he pitted, but now are they trying to do the same and see if Raikkonen's tyres will fade faster? That I'm not sure. We'll find out soon, but Hamilton definitely got a lot closer there. He's within half a second of Raikkonen after the first chicane there. So Raikkonen, with a bit more pressure on him from Hamilton now than we've seen in the last few laps, definitely Hamilton a lot closer. So Hamilton's maybe putting the foot down a little bit more. He's within half a second now. This is the closest he's been, I think, all race. Raikkonen, wow, all his tyres are getting blisters now. Every tyre on, except his front left. We're seeing some damage on Lewis's tyres too. Not as bad as Raikkonen's, but definitely some damage there. So Raikkonen's going to have to do some managing. His tyres are in significantly worse condition than Lewis Hamilton's. So if Raikkonen can hold him out for the extra 8 laps that he has on those tyres, and Hamilton's fade just as much, towards the end of the race, we could see both guys with tyres that aren't able to push overly hard. So it's going to come down to Raikkonen. It really is. It's his race at the moment. He's got to keep him off. I don't think Lewis is able to make that move, because if he could, he would. He's been in DRS range for a long time. I don't see why he would just be sitting back at this stage. Maybe he is, and maybe he's just biding his time. But I see him struggling just as much as Raikkonen, and he's just waiting and waiting and waiting until a gap opens up, a mistake happens. But he's struggling. He's struggling to get past Kimi, and Kimi is leading in Monza with 13 laps to go. 13 more laps. Can Kimi hold out? It's been over 100 Grand Prix since Kimi Raikkonen has won. Can today be the day, in front of the Ferrari's home crowd, that Kimi Raikkonen can do that? I'm not sure. Hamilton, if he has anything to say about it, he will not let Raikkonen just walk away with this win. So the game is on. Still on. So Vettel, 14 seconds behind Bottas with 13 laps to go. Not going to happen there. He'll probably be able to close that gap, but I don't think we'll see anything happen beyond that. Vettel, 20-something second gap between himself and Grosjean. That's definitely more or less done and dusted from that point of view. So that's Vettel settling for some recovery. But Lewis Hamilton, very close, half a second now. So he's putting the foot down. As I said before, he was only about 6, 7, 8 tenths, typically, at best, behind Raikkonen. But now he's been consistently half a second or so, 5, 6 tenths behind Raikkonen. So Bottas, very close. Diving down the outside of Bottas. Bottas diving down the outside of Verstappen, I should say. Not able to make a move, stick. But Verstappen is not going to be able to hold off the faster Mercedes with fresher tyres for much longer, I wouldn't imagine. Verstappen is going to have to fight for his life to keep that position, but he's just been given a warning that he cannot run off the track again like he did last time when Bottas tried to make a move. Otherwise he will be facing a penalty. So Verstappen's going to have to make it clean if he wants to keep that position. We will see. We will see what happens there, but it's almost certain that Bottas... So now we've got some traffic for Raikkonen and Hamilton. Raikkonen quickly gets around one. Hamilton gets around him as well. The first Sauber. So there's another Sauber here. Raikkonen should get a bit of a tow and should have DRS actually, making it a little bit harder. Yeah, so Sirotkin is going to have to get out of the way for Raikkonen. Raikkonen's rear right tyre is in terrible condition. Mind you, there's not as much lateral load going through that tyre on the outside. It's not loaded up. It's a clockwise circuit with a lot of fast corners to the right-hand side. So it's interesting to see so much damage on that inside tyre. Bottas has gone deep, locked up. He's obviously tried to have gone Verstappen, not able to make it work. Go deep. He's gone straight through. He's had to weave his way through the styrofoam bollards. So he's lost a lot of time there. A lot of time. This opens the gap up, closes the gap to 10 seconds between himself and Vettel. There is contact. Verstappen actually made contact with Bottas, pushed him side. This will be interesting to see. Verstappen definitely moved over. Bottas was going around the outside. Verstappen took the inside line, but then moved towards the outside into where Bottas's car was, and I think Verstappen may be facing a penalty there. Touch and go, but Verstappen definitely veered across. Did he leave enough room for Bottas? I'm not sure, but I don't think that that's going to be looked upon too kindly by the stewards. We'll see what they do about that, but Bottas has definitely lost out there. But now there's only just under 9 seconds between Vettel and Bottas. If Bottas has any damage from that contact, then Vettel may be able to close up some gap in his last 10 laps and have a real go at Bottas. We'll see what happens there. So it could be interesting to see. But Hamilton is now 4 tenths now between himself and Hamilton. Hamilton is getting very, very close to Kimi Raikkonen, and I think if I was a betting man, I would suggest that Raikkonen is not going to be able to hold out Lewis Hamilton for these remaining 10 laps. His tyres are severely blistered, and it appears on nearly all 4 tyres, I think. So that's not good for Kimi Raikkonen. Hamilton looks like he's able to keep his tyres in better condition. Should be able to make that move stick at some point. Yeah, we're just looking at a replay of the first lap incident. I'm not that interested in that at the moment, to be honest. I want to see what's happening at the front. Half a second. Hamilton is the closest he's been coming into this first chicane. Should be able to have a go. Lewis Hamilton making a go around the outside. Hamilton around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen into the first chicane. Hamilton's making it stick. Hamilton has taken the lead. Kimi Raikkonen has had nothing to do. Hamilton has cleanly made that move around Kimi Raikkonen, and it looks like the race is now over for Kimi Raikkonen. There is no way he's going to be able to make that move back again in the condition his tyres are on. But the slipstream's strong. Raikkonen is only 4 tenths behind Hamilton at this stage. Is Hamilton able to pull a gap now? Hamilton's got to put his foot down. Raikkonen has to respond, but the gap's already up to a second. I don't think we're going to see Raikkonen be able to do much there. I think, unfortunately for Raikkonen, he's going to have to settle for second place. Raikkonen left more than enough room for Lewis Hamilton. Clean racing all round. Yeah, Raikkonen has already fallen well out of DRS range. Hamilton, most likely, with 8 9 laps left, 8 laps, is nearly 2 seconds behind Hamilton at this point, Raikkonen. Yeah, it's Hamilton's race now. Hamilton should walk away with it. Raikkonen now, unfortunately, Yeah, Raikkonen just couldn't keep his tyres in good enough condition, keep him behind it, as I figured may have happened. Anyway, Verstappen now, 5-second time penalty for the contact he made with Valtteri Bottas. I figured if anyone's fault, it was his, and as we've seen now, 5-second time penalty. Fair enough, that should be pretty straightforward. That will jump Bottas ahead. Bottas will end up on the podium if all stays square from here. So Vettel may be able to jump him, however, if he's able to close that gap. So that will put him 6 seconds with that time penalty behind Verstappen. 8 laps left. Unlikely, but possible that Vettel could pull in 6 seconds in 8 laps. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, Ricciardo's got an engine failure early on with his new Spec C Renault engine. It's hard to tell at this point what caused that, but there was question marks over the reliability of the engine. But they decided to bring it in anyway. Hülkenberg did bring it into his car as well. After Renault said they weren't going to, they did end up putting the Spec C in. Sainz is not running a Spec C engine. He's running the Spec B Renault engine. But Hülkenberg has struggled to make up any places down where he is at the moment as well, to be fair. He's still stuck in 15th place. Yeah. Anyway, let's look at the front. Yeah, Hamilton has pulled a 3.5 second gap ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. It was almost delaying the inevitable at this point. There's not much you can do. Alright. Hamilton now. Pretty much a 4-second gap at this point between himself and Kimi. Yeah, it doesn't look good. So Hamilton, if the results finish as they do, will have a 32-point buffer between himself and Vettel. That's a big gap. Not a huge amount of races to go. It's gonna... Yeah. That's quite unfortunate for the championship battle. Quite unfortunate for Vettel. It's definitely been a tight fight so far this season, and hopefully it will go to the end. But this is another one where, in reality, it should have been a Ferrari win straightforward. They started on the front row. I think it's been the last 8 years. So Verstappen defending Bottas. Sorry, I was just listening to team radio. Verstappen is there defending against Bottas again. He had a tirade. He went a tirade over the radio, criticising the penalty decision, and very angry. So we might see some Verstappen frustration show on the track when defending against Bottas. We'll see. But 5 seconds now between Raikkonen and Hamilton. That's a race done and dusted at this point. Yeah, Vettel may close the gap to Verstappen now with this 5-second time penalty and jump to 4th place, which could only help him in this point battle, which he's kind of losing pretty badly at the moment to Lewis Hamilton, who's again capitalising on a set of circumstances which fell in his favour. Hockenheim stands out as a race where he capitalised from starting, I think, P17, winning that race, and Vettel just crashed into a wall when he was leading the race and didn't really have any pressure on him. That's going to be a big turning point. This as well, where contact was made, he came out worse off, is going to hurt him going forward, I believe. It's not going to help the championship battle for Ferrari or for for Sebastian Vettel. I apologise. Why didn't Hamilton get the penalty? Hamilton didn't get the penalty because it was a racing incident at the start of the race. Verstappen putting up a fight between himself and Bottas. He's not conceding the place. He's going to lose it anyway in the time penalty he receives. But it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt him and Bottas potentially. Maybe not so much Bottas, given how many laps. Excuse me. Yeah, so Verstappen over the team radio is just pretty much thrown in the towel. Doesn't really care at this point. Just racing his race, causing as much trouble for Bottas as he can. But he's losing time to Vettel and probably will lose the place to Vettel as well. So that's only going to help Vettel in the championship. So, yeah, this is definitely Verstappen putting his foot down and saying, "No, I don't agree with the decision." But yeah, it is what it is. Bottas still not able to get a move on Verstappen. Look, I probably think Bottas at this point is probably just going to race it to the end, not going to bother overtaking Verstappen because there's no need. He's going to get the place back with the 5 seconds anyway, and he doesn't want to risk contact and getting eliminated from the race altogether. And Vettel's too far behind at this point to really make a charge on either of those two, so I doubt we'll see Bottas try and make a dive bomb or a risky move on Verstappen. He'll just coast and take the place after the fact. Who have we got finishing the rest of the points places? We've got Bottas, 4th place. Verstappen will jump him. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Oh. Okay. So yeah, Grosjean, 6th. He's going to keep that best of the rest place. He qualified 6th. He's going to finish 6th by the looks of it, unless something happens. But Raikkonen's tyres, I just saw them come up and are in terrible condition. Blisters, losing the surface. Yeah, terrible condition. It's amazing he's been able to stay on as long as he can. That 8 extra laps on the tyres have really hurt him, unfortunately. It looked like it was going to work in his favour initially, but it's come back and hasn't been able to keep the life in them. Back to the points. So we've got Grosjean 6th, Ocon and Perez 7th and 8th, but Ocon is making a charge on Grosjean. I should make note of that. He's only 8/10ths behind, so that'll be interesting to see. Grosjean made a relatively early pit stop, and Ocon made a late pit stop, so Ocon will have fresher tyres there. That battle will be interesting to see how that unfolds. Perez a 2.5 seconds behind his teammate in 8th. Sainz 9th, but he's in no man's land. He'll stay in 9th unless he has any issues with his engine or any other mechanical failure. Stroll rounds out the points, and he's again in no man's land. He's got a gap in front and behind of him that will keep him there. So Stroll will pick up a point for Williams. Sirotkin just outside of the points in 11th. Leclerc 12th. Van Dorn 13th. Hulkenberg 14th. Gasly 15th, Ericsson 16th, and Magnussen last of the classified drivers in 17th place at the moment. So, just had some information come in that Kimi Raikkonen's tyres are in a critical condition and he's being unlapped. So Raikkonen is going so slow, he was unlapped by Sergei Sirotkin. Raikkonen, yeah, his tyres are critical. His team has basically told him, stay off the curbs. You may not make it to the end if you damage these tyres anymore. So Kimi Raikkonen is really having to nurse these tyres. And with 2 laps, 2 laps to go, lap and a half, he should make it to the end if he nurses them. But we saw stranger things happen at Silverstone last year with both Ferraris. Their tyres essentially delaminating late in the race. Mind you, the tyres are a different grade this year. Anyway, he's got a big enough gap that he can back right off and not have to worry about losing a place to Verstappen. But it is unfortunate that Kimi has dropped all the way 8 seconds now behind the lead in Hamilton. I think Hamilton will only be cruising at this point as well. The front top 4 really are just cruising. Top 5 even. Hamilton knows he's got the win in the bag, doesn't need to do anything silly. Raikkonen now, we're on the final lap of the race. Raikkonen 8 seconds behind. Verstappen another 8 seconds behind Raikkonen. Bottas half a second behind Verstappen, but has no interest in making an overtaking move because he will get it back with a 5-second penalty Verstappen has. And so will Vettel. Vettel is now within a 5-second window of Max Verstappen. So Vettel will jump up to 4th place after the race. Grosjean is just out of DRS, or still within DRS range of Grosjean. Ocon is still within DRS range of Grosjean, I should say. I'm sorry. It's not really much expected to happen in this race at this point. We're on the last lap now. So who have we got? Lewis Hamilton coming up to Parabolica now to take the win, extend his lead in the championship to Sebastian Vettel. So here he comes, Hamilton around the final corner, leading the Grand Prix by nearly 10 seconds. Lewis Hamilton has taken the win at Ferrari's home ground after a very, very interesting Grand Prix, a very interesting start to the Grand Prix. Hamilton now has won the Grand Prix. Raikkonen comes in 2nd place after leading the majority of the Grand Prix. 3rd place over the line is Verstappen, but will lose that to Bottas, so Bottas will take that position. So Bottas will end up on the podium. Sebastian Vettel will finish in 4th place. He came close enough to Verstappen. 5 seconds will drop. Grosjean now has completed that race. We are seeing a very interesting race here today. First lap, second chicane decided in many respects how this race played out, with Sebastian Vettel essentially throwing his race away and turning his mission into recovery at this point. Manages to go from almost last, effectively, changing his front wing to finishing in 4th place. It's a fairly good recovery run from him. But unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton winning the race only extends that lead in the championship, something he doesn't need, he doesn't want. And look, it is what it is at this point, but the championship is in Hamilton's hand, despite all the people saying at this point that Ferrari have the better car. They may well have the better car, they may have the better power unit, but when it comes to race day, Hamilton is getting the job done. Mercedes are getting the job done, and it's a Mercedes win again. Mercedes extend their lead in the Constructors and Drivers' Championship. It's a bit unfortunate for Kimi Raikkonen, honestly. It's a bit disappointing for him. I'm disappointed for him, to be honest. It's hard not to like the guy. Kimi Raikkonen qualified on pole, fastest lap in history of fastest lap in F1 history in his qualifying, and then in the race led the majority of the race, couldn't keep his tyres in good enough condition to hold off Hamilton towards the end, but we'll settle with 2nd. I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, so Kimi just come across the radio and expressed his disappointment, but admitted there wasn't much he could do given the tyre condition he had to deal with and had to manage. So Hamilton steals victory at Ferrari's home turf. Bottas does his job as a rear gunner, but I don't think there was much. I don't think it would have affected the race outcome that much, to be honest. I think the gap. Excuse me. Yes. So let me know, guys, in the comments if you enjoyed this. I would love to. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the live race stream, live race commentary. Definitely interested to see what you have to say about it. Any feedback, comments, criticism. If you want me to do it again in the future, let me know. It was definitely it was definitely fun for me, definitely interesting. I've got a lot to learn, obviously. Had a bit of fun with it. Let me know what you thought of the graphics, what you thought of the sounds, what you thought of everything. It was, fun to do. Hopefully, I can get better at it. Hopefully, maybe I can have someone on with me to do race commentary with. I think that'd be fun. Also, be sure to check out my channel. I recently did a podcast with another fellow Aussie, Keegan. He runs a little channel who he talks quite a lot about motorsports and cars in general. Great channel, but if you're interested in hearing my thoughts and opinions on what's happened in F1 rather than just the delivering of the news, I open up a bit about what I think of the happenings in Formula One on that podcast. So if you want to see that, definitely check that out. It's I'll have to leave a link to that. Actually, it's a good point. It's not on my channel. It's on his channel. That's okay. Please leave the feedback. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I always read all the comments, as you're all well aware. I definitely enjoyed it. I'll improve it, make it a bit better for the future. But for now, I'll sign out because the race is over and there's not much more interesting stuff to talk about right this second. But in 5 minutes or so, I'll log off. So I'll have a bit of a discussion in the comments amongst you. If you want to ask any questions, questions about Formula One, if you want to ask any of my opinions about Formula One, and any of my opinions about motorsport in general, driver changes, upcoming, anything, any personal questions that you might want to know about me and my life, feel free to ask them now while I'm here. I'll stick around for a few minutes before I sign off, so feel free to ask, discuss, talk, and excuse the dog in the background if you can hear a dog barking. It's just the neighbour's dog. They like to bark at night time here in Australia, so there's not much I can do about that. Sorry, I really enjoyed the race, to be honest. In the end, Hamilton got the victory. He was able to manage his tyres better, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's unfortunate for Kimi Räikkönen, but you've got to be there at the end, and Hamilton was. Kimi unfortunately couldn't make it happen. He'll definitely be disappointed. He probably sensed a win today, and a little unfortunate that he wasn't able to get that done, but you can't do much that. Bottas in the end gets there, finishes out that podium. So a good day for Mercedes all in all. A good day for Hamilton. I believe. Just confirmed it. Yeah. I didn't know it was there. Kimi Räikkönen now 100 career podiums. So that's good for him in one way, but I think he'll still feel more disappointed that he didn't get the win. It's not Vettel yelping. It's just the neighbour's dog. Unfortunately, you should see how many times I have to record my normal videos. How many takes I have to make so that I don't get the dog in the background. The dog is definitely a bit of a nuisance, but it is what it is. So ask away. Feel free. Get the questions going. Feedback is always welcome. I don't really take offense to anything, so if you want to go hard with the criticisms, feel free, be my guest. It sounds like everybody really enjoyed it and would potentially want me to do some more in the future. I'll definitely consider it. It's a lot of work, but it's enjoyable work. So I'll definitely do it again. The demand seems to be there. A lot of people are enjoying it. Ended up getting around that 120 mark watching the race, which isn't too bad. Hopefully I'll promo it more and publicise that I'm doing this more, so that I'll get some more viewers in watching the races a bit more consistently. Obviously, that's a goal, is to get as many people watching it. All right, we've got a few questions coming in. What do you think of the first lap incident? I'm assuming you're referring to the first lap incident between Hamilton and Vettel, not the first lap incident between Van Dorn and Hartley. But the incident between Hamilton and Vettel, I saw it as the stewards called it, and I don't know if you were there at the start when I was commentating on it, but I more or less called it as a racing incident. I think that's what it was. Vettel took the inside line, Hamilton took the outside line, squeezed a little bit on the inside, but left enough room. Vettel felt the squeeze, but probably went a little deep, maybe a little oversteer, maybe a little hot, and just ran a little bit wider, while Hamilton came inside and squeezed. So it was a factor of both of them, to be honest. They both contributed to it equally, and more or less equally. And unfortunately, Vettel came off worse for it. But it was definitely, just a racing incident as I saw it. What have we got? What made you start this channel? I believe it was around the Canadian Grand Prix last year, maybe a week before. It was 2017 Canadian Grand Prix. I decided to just whip together a basic video. Yeah, it was very poor quality. The audio was rubbish. I started it because I've been a Formula One fan for a long time. I think my dad's watching the stream, actually. You've probably seen him in here a little bit. He's been a Formula One fan for a long time. So is my mum. She's been watching the live stream as well. They've both been Formula One fans for as long as I can remember, and I sort of grew up with it in the house. I remember watching, growing up in the, late 90s, early 2000s, watching, Michael Schumacher days, and I've loved Formula One forever. And I've always been a big fan of YouTube. It's probably the platform I consume the most content on. So I was most familiar with it. It was a platform I really enjoy. And I figured, why not just make a video for the fun of it? And it sort of took off, actually. My first video ended up getting about 40,000 views, actually. The very first video I made. So from the get-go, it struck a chord with people. They enjoyed just basic news being delivered in a really simple way. I never looked back. I want to get the consistency up. I want to start posting more often. I want to take this channel to the next level, and I'm sure you'll all appreciate that. But it's been a pleasure, and I love interacting with everybody here and growing the channel. So if anybody ever has any issues, any comments, criticisms, or anything, feedback, I love to hear it, because I definitely take it all on board, because you're the reason I do it. Ben Slade, what do you think of the penalty? Again, I'm assuming it's the Verstappen penalty. Look, probably fair. Verstappen, in my mind, squeezed Bottas, didn't leave quite a car's space on the outside of that track. Verstappen took the inside line, coming into the braking zone, started moving out towards Bottas, and he made the contact. Bottas held his line, and Bottas was more than deep enough to warrant him having had space left for him. So Verstappen was definitely at fault for the contact, but it was soft. You could have gone either way with it. I'm not going to shake my head and say it shouldn't have happened, because it was contact, and Verstappen was the one who moved into that. Had nothing have come of it, I probably wouldn't have been complaining either, to be honest. So it is a bit of whatever there. I think it was a pretty fair call. Is that the sound of booing in the background? Yeah, almost certainly. As much as Hamilton, probably thinks these are the best crowd he's ever been in front of, I don't think they feel the same about having Hamilton win, when it should have, in their mind, it should have been a Ferrari win, if not 1-2. Can you say hello to your mum? That's very funny. Haha. Wide awake. How long have you watched Formula One for? As I said before, I can remember Formula One being around for as long as I can remember anything. I had early Formula One games on the PlayStation. I remember the Formula One magazines that my dad always used to get. I remember watching it on TV as some of my earliest memories. So I've been around it and surrounded by it for as long as I can actually remember anything. So a long time. I lost interest a little bit at some stages in my life, but I was always following it. But yeah, definitely always loved Formula One. What have we got here? Do you think that this was the last chance for Vettel to catch Hamilton in the championship? No, I don't. I think the championship is probably still going to go for probably down to the wire. Ferrari has got to stop making mistakes. They really do, and that's just the bottom line. Hamilton and Mercedes have just been clinical all year long, and that's allowed them to be in the position they are when potentially they don't have the faster car or the better car. But they've been doing it on race day and been making it happen, and they haven't been making silly errors that Ferrari have been making. So, look, there's a 30, maybe a 30 point gap between Vettel and Hamilton at this point now. Hamilton's favour. It doesn't take much to make a gap up like that. It really doesn't. But it's an uphill battle for Ferrari at this point, and they do have the better car. So anything can happen. I don't think it's over yet, though. No. Just tuning in, can you do a quick race recap? Yeah, I'll make it really quick. Off the start line, Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen got great starts. The first three were within a second of each other coming into the the second chicane. And Hamilton was slipstreaming on the outside of Vettel. Vettel and Hamilton made contact. Vettel went to the back of the grid, had to make a pit stop, cost him the race. He was in a recovery position, ended up finishing fourth due to a Verstappen penalty for fighting with Bottas. Kimi Räikkönen looked to take the lead and take it to the end, but his tyres degraded, and he was holding the race in his control for a long time, but his tyres fell away. Hamilton capitalised, had the fresher tyres, pitted later, and was able to take the win. And the rest is pretty clinical. There wasn't a lot out of the ordinary that happened there. So that's more or less the quick rundown. Would you classify this race as boring or exciting? I think there was a lot of excitement in this race, a lot of tension at the very least. Barring maybe the last few laps where it all sort of became ordered. I think right up until maybe a lap before Kimi was overtaken, it looked like he may have been able to hold off Hamilton, but then the last couple of laps that Hamilton really closed the gap and Raikkonen's tyres started to fade pretty hard. It looked pretty done and dusted at that point. But up until then, it was a pretty interesting race. I think the start was definitely exciting. The first few laps were exciting. The first pit window was definitely exciting because I think it went in Ferrari's favour, even though it may have looked like Mercedes had the plans otherwise. So that was definitely exciting. It was just those last few laps that were probably a little bit boring, but I think it was a good race all in all. It sounded throughout the race that you aren't much a fan of Hamilton. Personally, and this is something I've never divulged on the channel, personally, I grew up in a Ferrari household. My dad's a Ferrari supporter, and that's always been around me, so I have a soft spot for Ferrari, and I try to remain as impartial as I can, and that's my job, and that's what I want to do, so I don't really inject much of my opinion into it, and I don't think it's really relevant what my opinion is, to be honest, but Hamilton's a fantastic race car driver. I have nothing against the man as a driver. He's proven himself at the top for a long time now, and today he proved it again. He proved why he's one of the best, and he showed he deserved the win. And as much as people will probably disagree with that, some may not. He ran the race. He kept the fresher tyres, and he got to the end and. In the end, convincingly won. So I can't take that away from him. Great win, great race for him. I was probably just more, down in Australia, we like an underdog story, and it would have been nice to see Kimi Räikkönen get a win after 103 Grand Prix. It's been since his last win, and I just really would have liked to see that happen. So that's probably where that tone came from. But no, all props to Hamilton. He definitely deserved it today. People once Hamilton pounds. In cases where the lead driver is intentionally slowing other drivers, should there have been intervention? Intervention how? Intervention from the FIA not allowing that, or intervention from the teams, or what you mean? Look, if someone is intentionally slowing another driver down, I think it's the job of the driver who's behind to make the overtake, and if you're good enough, then so be it. It's a team sport. Some people like that, some people don't. Some people forget that constructors and teams are involved in this, and it's not a driver's sport. It's not purely a driver's sport, I should say. People like the idea that they want to see the best drivers win, and Formula One's not that sport. It just isn't. Formula One is a team sport as well. That's why there's 2 championships: the constructors' championship and the drivers' championship. No, I don't think they should intervene. I don't think there should be any rules to intervene for that. I think it's just racing. Kimi would have deserved the win. I think Kimi, did everything right all weekend. He pitted a little bit earlier than Hamilton and probably hurt his tyres a bit more than Hamilton did, which is a little unusual for Kimi. He's normally known for his tyre management, but it's definitely a little bit disappointing knowing how close it is and how he could have had that win and didn't. But there's nothing that can be done about that. Who do I think will win the championship? If I was a betting man, I'd probably say Hamilton. I think the cars are very, very close. People talk about the Ferrari being the better vehicle, and they may be right. I think it's the general consensus that Ferrari have the better vehicle, the better car, and that's true. Hamilton does have a good buffer at the moment. There's not a huge amount of races left, but there's enough to swing the championship. But Mercedes have shown year on year that they are able to be consistent. They're able to deliver results when they need them and capitalise on mistakes that Ferrari make. And if that trend continues, I think it's Hamilton's to lose as far as the championship goes. I would love to see a different winner. I'd love to see this go right down to the end just because it's a spectacle. It makes it really exciting to watch. I don't want to see a runaway victory from anyone ever. But yeah, I think it's Hamilton's championship to lose at this point. What else have we got? Why was nothing done for Vettel's unsafe release? Can you fill me in on that a little bit more? I don't recall seeing an unsafe release from Vettel. Which pit stop was that? His first one with the wing change or his second one for the tyres? I don't recall an unsafe pit release. So someone, fill me in on that. So anyone else with any more questions, issues, comments, feel free to let me know at the moment because that's I'll be looking to wrap it up soon. At this point, we're nearly approaching 2 hours. Unsafe release on the first stop. Was it unsafe as in he was brought out into traffic of another car? Or was he, not... How was it unsafe? I didn't actually see it, so can someone fill me in on that? I missed it completely. I must have been focusing on something else. So I missed that. I'm sure I'll see it later. Do I want Ricciardo to leave Red Bull and go to Renault? I was actually calling for this long before it was even on the cards. I didn't say it on my channel because it's my channel. I don't put my opinions on my channel. It's never been what I do, and I still won't do that to this day. During the news segments anyway, I might in some other videos, especially if there's demand for it. But back to the question, I think it's a good move. I wanted him to go for a while actually. I think it'll be good for him. I think it's a gamble for sure. I don't think anybody's expecting it to be a walk in the park, but Michael Schumacher went into Ferrari when they were rebuilding and they were struggling, and look what happened there. Lewis Hamilton went to Mercedes and people laughed at him and said, what are you going to do there? The Mercedes are a nothing team. Now Ricciardo's going to Renault when I wouldn't say Renault are a nothing team. They're there or thereabouts in the midfield, but they're making steps towards bettering themselves and putting themselves in a position where they can actually seriously fight for the title again. So given the state of the sport, works teams and manufacturer teams tend to be in much better positions to win and fight for titles. I think it's a good move for him. So we'll see how that goes. I think we're all excited to see how it goes. If anything, I'm excited to see how Hülkenberg compares to a top tier driver. Hülkenberg's always been known as probably one of the best of the rest drivers. He's always 7th place. How many times have we seen Hülkenberg finish in 7th place? he's revered as a very talented driver, but we've never seen him go up against one of the top guys, or one of the what's considered the top guys in the sport. So I'm really interested to see how that contest contest goes, because it might change a lot of opinions on Hulkenberg amongst the grid. So yeah, would it be better if teams had 3 drivers? Well, that's something Ocon was talking about not too long ago. Yeah, look, define better. I think if we have the same amount of teams we've got now, but we add an extra car per team, it'll just make the grid a little bit more interesting. The races will allow more drivers to come into Formula One, but you're still going to see the same spread. If it's just an extra car per team, you'll just see more Mercedes and more Ferraris in the top 6 instead of the top 4. I'd like to see just more teams in general, and I'd like to see some independent engine, independent power unit suppliers brought into the sport that are able to be competitive for those teams, so that we can really see teams other than works teams fighting some of the independents again. That would be really exciting to see. So no, not necessarily. I don't think it would be better if teams had 3 drivers. Do I think it would be any worse? Probably not. But the benefits would be you get more drivers on the grid, and at the moment, with only 20 slots on the grid and there's a lot of young talent coming through, there are people that are missing out. So should teams have a spare car like back in the 90s? Should they? Yeah, that's an interesting question. If you want them to, sure, why not? I mean, maybe. I think there's more to it than just should they have a spare car. I think there's a lot of other regulations that need to be looked at to allow something like that to exist. A lot in the sport that needs to be toyed with, because you wouldn't want teams gaming that. 2 cars means there's 2 engines there. How do you deal with parts and limitations on parts with the current set of regulations? Can you just switch between cars? Do you need more engines for that? It just becomes logistically interesting to deal with the current set of regulations. So it wouldn't just be a matter of let's throw in an extra car and see how they go. There would need to be other things accounted for. That being said, I'm not against the idea if it was pitched in a way that was beneficial for the sport. I'm for anything that's beneficial for the sport. So it would just depend. Did you not see how Kimi was spinning up his rear tyres? It's for someone else. What do you think of Verstappen's penalty and his reactions? Verstappen's young. He's going to react like that if he doesn't agree with it. I think it was probably a pretty soft incident. It could have been a lot worse, but he was definitely the man who made the move towards Bottas when Bottas was more or less about as wide as you could get on that track. And Verstappen had staked his claim to the inside line and then started moving outwards towards Bottas, whilst Bottas maintained a straight line. So I think the penalty was relatively fair. I don't think there's much you can argue on the point of that. I think it was what it was. So his reactions, you're a driver, you're a racing driver, you always think you're in the right. It's like any sport. If you get a foul against you or anything happens, you always well, not always, but you look at it in your point of view rather than the other driver's point of view. So I don't blame him for feeling the way he feels. I think that's just natural. You're frustrated, you're racing hard, and in what your mind was a soft incident, you get penalised for it. He saw it for differently. So that's it is what it is. All right, so that's about it. I think everybody's I'll leave a couple more seconds. Last couple of questions, and then I'll be signing off. So if you've got a question, ask it now, because it's your last chance. And I'll be signing off. So send them in now, and then we'll call it. Dillon, do you think the championship fight is over for Vettel now? And if so, is it fair to happen this way? I don't think the championship fight is over for Vettel now. I don't. It's about 30 points between them, and there's still quite a few races left. Anything can happen. Honestly, it's not over. Yeah, I think he's definitely throwing away points that he shouldn't be throwing away. Here, for instance, you could say it was throwing it away. You could say it wasn't. Hockenheim, definitely, his mistake there has cost him big time. Yeah, some silly mistakes that he's costing himself, and he can't afford to do that again. Honestly, it's it. He's got to perform at the best level he can for the rest of the year to make that happen. So no, it's not over, but it's going to be tough. What else have we got? Is it fair to happen this way? Well, it's not. I don't think it's I don't think it's over. So that part doesn't quite apply. Given that Vettel was able to turn up the speed in the last 4 laps, do you think it was too little, too late? Probably not. He had the fresher tyres. Verstappen was clearly holding up Bottas, and Bottas had no interest in overtaking him because he knew he was going to get the place anyway. So I think it was probably a little bit artificial in what you saw. That gap closing very quickly. Vettel was definitely able to close the pace, and he knew that he needed to get those extra points. So he pushed, but I don't think there was going to be anything more come of that anyway. It was just Verstappen being Verstappen and holding up Bottas that allowed that to happen quicker. What porn do I watch? Wouldn't you like to know? What have we got? Do you think a more permanent penalty should be applied to Max? Permanent, how so? I'm not sure what you mean. For moving and braking, defending under braking. I don't know what you mean by permanent penalty, but I don't think anything more should have come of it. I think it was pretty fair. I mean, there was no race deciding issues that came of it. So he got his on track time penalty, and that was more or less what it is. Where is Leclerc going, in your opinion? Long term or next season? And I'm assuming you say next season. I think Kimi's probably safe for another season. I could be eating my words in a couple of weeks, but I think Kimi will be there again. Mind you, I think for the last couple of years when Kimi has got a contract extension, it's happened by Monza, and if it hasn't happened by now, then it could suggest that something different will be happening, but it could be also the fact that they've changed leadership there. They're still sorting some things out at Ferrari. So where does that leave Leclerc? I don't know if he'll stay at Haas. I think... I don't know if he'll stay at Sauber, but I think he could. I don't think that would be a bad move to stay at Sauber for another season. They're a good little side at the moment. Fred Vasseur's doing great things with that team now he's taken over. They're becoming much more competitive. They're targeting best of the rest for next season, which is not that unreasonable. And I think Grosjean is picking up his performance enough to probably, well, at least potentially save his seat there. So if that does happen, then I don't think a seat will open up at Haas for him to go there. So I think we'll probably see Kimi stay. I think we'll see Leclerc probably either stay at Sauber or go to Haas. But I could be eating my words. Why can't Kimi win a race? Look, a lot of factors involved in that. I'm sure he can win a race. He just hasn't, unfortunately. Do I think Hamilton deserved a penalty for lap 1? No. Racing incident. Both drivers contributed to that. Hamilton squeezed Vettel, and Vettel ran in deep, so they both played their own part in that. Played their part in that. Do you think Hamilton deserves a penalty? No. They didn't even interview him. Will Ferrari ever be able to out-strategy Mercedes? Well, they have in the past, even in this season, in a few races. Mercedes just seem to be more clinical, probably more conservative as well, a lot of the time. But they're very good, Mercedes, with their strategy. So, they can, but it's tough. That's where Mercedes are strong. They're consistent. A race ban. No, I don't think Verstappen should have got a race ban for his actions. I don't think it was that insidious that it deserved it deserved that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the moving more than once under braking rule was changed a few years back. I don't think it's moving more than once under braking anymore. I think it's something similar along the lines of that, but it's slightly different now to change that. I can't remember exactly how it's written anymore. When there is a full-on gaffe in strategy like we saw with the red team, who gets the ultimate blame? I don't know if it was a full-on gaffe, to be honest with you. I don't know if they could have predicted the tyres were going to degrade as badly as they were. I don't think anyone expected that. I think Ferrari definitely, pitted probably a little early, but they were still within the pit window. It wasn't like it was unprecedented for them to pit at that time. Hamilton was just able to, maximise his tyres a little bit better. If Bottas didn't hold Kimi up, it might have been a little bit different. And if Vettel hadn't have been knocked to the back, then perhaps it could have been a different story altogether, because they would have had two cars up the front to have a bit more strategy to work with, like Mercedes did with Bottas. So, who gets the ultimate blame? I don't think anyone should be getting the ultimate blame for that. I think it's just the way it went on that day, unfortunately. So that's just the way it goes. Hamilton has a 30-point lead. Yes, he does, and I think that's going to be hard to chase down, and that's why, as I said earlier, if I was a betting man, I'd say that Hamilton will win this championship, but I'd definitely like to see it go to the very, very last race. That's always exciting. Do you think Mercedes will have some massive unluck this season to come? I don't know. Do I think they will? Probably not, but do I think they could? Sure. I think anything can happen, and I think, I think that's definitely, where am I now? I don't think they'll have any severe bad luck, but I think it could happen. This is the 8th or 9th time he's done it. Yes, I know Verstappen has moved under braking. A lot of drivers do it, but I think I want to clarify that rule, because I'm fairly sure that rule isn't as it was a few seasons back, the moving once under braking thing. I think it is slightly different now. I'll double check that before I get back to you on that too much more than that. And I'm not, anyway, I'll get back to you on that one once I double check that rule. Do I think personally that Kimi deserved the race win? I would have liked to see Kimi win. Do I think he deserved it? It depends what you mean. Hamilton raced the better race for the total of 53 laps, and Kimi's tyres didn't last, and that's partly because of him, that's partly because of strategy, and therefore you have to say that Hamilton and Mercedes deserved the win, because they did what it took to get there after 53 laps. So that's the way it is. Do you think Vettel realistically has any chance of winning? Yes, of course he does. It's 30 points. It's not a lot of points. Do I think he's the favourite? Probably not, but I think he's definitely got a chance. How do you think about F1 getting rid of the grid girls? I think it should just be up to each circuit what they want to put on for entertainment or what they want to do for this. I don't think it should be mandated for anything. It's their company, it's their business. They can do whatever they want, and ultimately that's what I think. If someone owns the business, owns the company, they have the rights to do what they want with it. It's their money, it's their choice. But I think I had no problem with the grid girls personally. I think if the circuits want to host them, I think was it Monaco had them anyway, but they did it in a different way. They just had the girls there, but not in an official capacity. I think circuits will probably continue to do something like that if that's what they think is important to them. Any more questions? These are dragging on. What do you think about Mercedes using Bottas as a wingman to hold up Kimi? I think that's to be expected. I think it's a team sport. That's what happens. You're going to get that. So I think you'll get that. It doesn't mean I like it, doesn't mean I dislike it, but it's just part of the sport. You sort of just got to live with that when it is a team sport. Will the track record be broken again next year? Probably not. The cars will most likely be a little bit slower through corners next year. but they'll also be a little bit less draggy. So we'll see how that plays out if the engines do develop much more, if we're at the peak of what the engines can put out or close to. I don't think it will, but it might. It might. Do you think we should ban DRS? Until we find a better system to allow the cars to overtake each other organically, I think it's necessary, because if you took it away now, it would be very, very difficult on some tracks, nigh impossible to overtake. I think it's a solution to a poor problem. So we'll see. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's. I've caught up with all the questions now. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for sticking around after the race and asking a few questions. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. So yeah, I'll definitely look into doing it again, hopefully soon. And until then, stay tuned. Keep yourself posted for my upcoming videos, my normal videos throughout the week. I'll be looking to hopefully do more of those, schedule more of those out. So yeah, stay tuned, stay posted. But yeah, until then, thank you very much. Be sure, if you're not a subscriber, to subscribe. Check out my other videos. Check out my podcast I did with Keegan and Cars. So check that out. Keegan and Cars did a podcast with Formula World. I talk about a few things happening in Formula One and give my opinion on that as well. And also, be sure to, if you want to help support the channel in another way and get access to some extra stuff as well, I'll leave a link in the description. I'll just double check. I'll post it in the comments now. If you'd like to become a member, a monthly member for, where is it? Hang on. Copy that. Yeah, if you'd like to support the channel and become a member, you can go to this link here, and it should work, hopefully. And you can become a member, get some extra perks, help support the channel, help support me producing more content for you, more importantly. That's why I do it. So check that out. No obligation. If you want to, feel free to. I'd really appreciate it. So definitely check that out. I don't actually have a Discord at this point. A lot of people have been urging that. So I'll have to look into a Discord. I'm not actually too familiar with it personally, so I'll have to check that out a bit more. Drop a like, go for your life, do whatever you want. Thank you very much for tuning in and sticking around. There's still 75 people watching, so it's great that you're sticking around to just watch it live. I'll look into Discord for you, Ultraman, I promise. I'll check it out and see if I can learn it. I'll get my brother to teach me how it works. He uses it a bit. Anyway, be sure to check out that membership link I put above, the Moon Clerk link. That's just the payment processor I use. But yeah, check that out, see what I go. Can you be a moderator on my channel? I'll look into that as well, actually. I could do with a moderator, so I'll keep you in mind, Ultraman. I know you've been around for a long time on my channel. You're a big fan, so I'll definitely I'll keep that in mind. It's a nice offer. I'll check. Might have to see what I can do with that. Especially for the streams, it could help a lot. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you in mind. But yeah, anyway, thanks. Be sure to check out that membership link. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.